Hey Fluffy, it's your buddy, that idiot from Dash. Just want to say I really enjoyed your Fluffygate response video. You touched on a lot of important things that unfortunately I don't think have been really covered enough in the cryptocurrency world, and I thought I'd weigh in and give my perspective on a couple of these things because you really hit on some points that I think that really need to see the light of day a lot more. So to begin with, you mentioned that the community has changed. Yeah, definitely has. I mean, that's a good thing, right? You wouldn't want the same 10 people, rah-rah fanboys doing the same old thing over and over the years. That would be a sign of failure, right? A sign of success is growing, right? And the fact that there's so many new people coming into Monero and cryptocurrency as a whole, that's a good sign. That means that we've all been doing some really good things. And unfortunately, or fortunately, with that growth, that means you get a lot of people who haven't been around since the old days. A lot of people with new and different perspectives. And a lot of these people, right, might have come later when they saw a successful project rather than a early stages project. And they're not quite the trolling type. You know, they don't appreciate those kinds of games quite as much. And I think that that's wholeheartedly a good thing, right? There's this thing called crypto hooliganism, right, where you get this technology that could, really change the world, make it better for everyone. And unfortunately, you get fans of one or the other just jumping in and sort of starting a gang war against each other. And no, mine is better than yours is better than mine, you suck, no, you suck. The same things that you see in sports. And I don't think that's very useful, right? I think that might have served a purpose at one time and place. Definitely serves a purpose if you want to push back against being the recipient of said things. But I really think that it holds back the technology, the community, and its adoption into the world. And it really especially creates blind spots, right? Because when we're so focused on defending ourselves against other opinions from people who are haters or trolls or whatever, a lot of times real things slip through the cracks, right? I think that communities should be able to publicly and in a friendly manner audit each other, right? We should be able to point out ways we could get better, seek to improve on those things, and make each other stronger, right? I think that there is a lot of room for mutual cooperation, and I don't think that has been capitalized on. I think that's been lost to the past with a lot of trolling of seeking to knock down something else in order to get a leg up. I don't think that that's something we need to do. I think that there's enough room for many projects to succeed, and if there's not room for a project to succeed, it deserves to fail on its own merits. It doesn't need to fear any kind of pressure or competition, right? I think that in conclusion on that part, trolling just sort of muddies the whole waters. Doesn't really make it easy to develop the very best technology, to have the very brightest and most hardworking people involved. I think it's kind of a diversion tactic, and I think it's about time that we scale that down. And it seems like a lot of new members of the cryptocurrency world and of the Monero community seem to kind of agree on that part. And the second point I want to mention is leadership, right? This is always a touchy subject because digital currencies these days tend to be focused on being peer-to-peer, being decentralized, being you get to be your own bank. No masters, no big companies running. And with that anti-authoritarian sentiment, there tends to be this aversion to the idea of someone's a leader, someone has a leadership role. Well, the thing is, leadership is a natural human trait, right? Humans since the dawn of time have sought to follow the lead of someone who they perceive to be stronger, to be brighter, to be more accomplished than they are. And you learn from the best. And that's a natural human tendency to then, when you see someone who's kind of at the forefront of a project, to say, oh, that guy's our leader, let him do the talking. He speaks, well, he seems to understand this better than I do. He speaks better than I do. Let's follow him. Let's push him in front. Let him go and represent our cause, etc. And unfortunately, leaders aren't always chosen, right? They aren't always picked by a group of people by democratic vote or anything like that. or sometimes they choose to be leaders. Sometimes they just are acting and people choose to get behind them. And for whatever reason, it seems like you're the most public figurehead in the Monero community. I mean, at least to the outside world, right? So there, unfortunately, with that comes a lot of pressure. And sometimes that pressure can be ugly, can be nasty. Sometimes it can be a good thing. Sometimes it can lift you up. And I think that it needs to be something that the community decides who or what do they want to represent them, right? And it's there for current representatives, whether, voluntarily or not, just that happen to have landed that way, to decide if they want to own this leadership position. If not, I mean, it's easy to step away from the limelight and just not do something. But then someone else has to come up, right? So unfortunately, heavy lies the crown, right? With great power comes great responsibility, and a whole bucket of extra cliches that I'm sure I'll think of at a later date, but I'm sure no one would appreciate me bringing up right now. So, in conclusion, we're getting into a almost $90 billion industry for digital currencies, right? There's so much that blockchain technology can offer the world, and the world's waking up to that. And when you get into the big leagues, that kind of level of scrutiny and that level of standard for behavior also tends to go up. So I really think that, unfortunately, there's fallouts here and there, but it's for the best. It moves forward. We all learn our lessons, and eventually we just learn that it's best to promote creation and positivity and cooperation, and that sometimes when you go around knocking other people down, sometimes people take note of that, and then they come back after you. And unfortunately, there isn't a selective trolling switch. You can't just be like, oh, troll those people, don't troll me. No, you're in that world. It goes both ways. So I would really love to see digital currency as a whole move out of that world, right? I'd love to see an end to the prevalence of crypto hooliganism, and to just focus on what actually matters at the end of the day. What this amazing technology can do for all of us, and how do we put it to proper use in changing the world? I mean, at least that's what I'm here for. I'm only speaking for myself and my own motivations. You might have your own, but that's none of my damn business. So anyway, thanks again for taking the time to either hear me, put the mute button on, do whatever you want. But I have food waiting for me, so I got to be going. Bye-bye.